So getting organized, approaching Pozotron as an independent producer in this case, we're going to make a few assumptions. One, that you are doing your prepping, you're not outsourcing anything. The rights holder is responsible for the directorial QC pass, and you have a steady communication with the rights holder. So in this little demonstration of how Pozotron works, you, as the Pozotron owner in this case, are responsible for everything, and you're keeping a hold of all of the tasks within your own little bubble. So we have obviously added a bunch of tools recently, and before you even get started, you can decide on which ones you intend on using. The big three in this case being the pronunciation guide, the character voice guide, and the script export. We have tons of information on all three of these things, and I'm going to show you a little bit about how you would use those as prep work from that sort of independent producer perspective. So having a plan is super important before you get started. Are you going to upload chapter by chapter? Are you going to do pickups every chapter versus pickups at the end of the day? And do you intend on using DAW marker integration or typing timestamps? Knowing what your intention is might change how you use Pozotron. So picking that plan at the beginning, and you could always change it later, will help you decide the most efficient way to use the tools that you do pick. Uploading and prep. Approaching this from the independent realm, the first thing that you can do is upload the script and then buzz through the pronunciation guide. And so I have this script open here, and I'm going to click on pronunciation so you can see what this might look like in real time. So this is a book of short stories, and from the main suggestion screen, there were about 300 words that Pozotron said you might want to make sure your pronunciation is right. In probably 2 or 3 minutes, I scanned through all 300 of those words and found 23 of them that I wanted to make sure were on my pronunciation guide. And these 23, there's a couple different reasons behind them. Either I wanted to make sure I want to say them right, because sometimes in the Midwest, we say stuff funny, or I want to make sure that the author and I, the rights holder and I, are in agreement about what these sound like. So this is 2 minutes of prep, getting this list together, because I plan on asking him about it later. And one thing about the pronunciation guides, you can't always trust it just because it looks something up automatically. How do you guys pronounce this word? How do you pronounce that, Adam?
Ouija.
Right? Ouija, right? The kickback from here.
Ouija board.
Anybody ever heard Ouija before? I'm super curious, right? So David says Ouija. So the Oxford Dictionary, that playback says Ouija. So again, this pronunciation research tool, it's not a definitive way of choosing something. It's just to get the conversation started. And maybe Ouija is what the rights holder wants in this case. But at least I know with this super quick scan, and plus using the Pozotron guide, I know that there's 5 of them. So that's important that I do get that right.
I've had a number of conversations recently there. A lot of the intention is once you're done your research list, send it to the rights holder to get that approval or buy-in before you start recording. It's interesting.
Yep.
In an ACX situation, you definitely have direct connection with the author, but in a publishing or production house situation, a production company I was talking to yesterday, a big one, was like, we actually are contractually limited. We cannot talk to the author. So it's really interesting there how you can get buy-in on things like pronunciation guide or character voices before you even start recording.
Yep. And then the next thing you can do is go to that character voice guide. And so this is another one that I've started here. And it will make its first suggestions, Pozotron will, But then when you start prepping, when you start reading, you will find names that it didn't pick up, and you add that to the list using this custom character slot right up here. And then you immediately start to get an idea of who the important people are. There's 200 notes of Thomas, 182 of Dorsey, but you see where the page numbers are. So that starts at page 13 and that starts at page 130. So this is one of the other short stories. So this is an example of how you can use the Character Voices Guide to learn where things happen in the book as well as who's important. And I've made little notes about, Thomas is Jay and Alyssa's dad. Blaze is in high school, and start making decisions about these voices. And you can sort by the number of occurrences in the whole book or the first occurrence, which will start giving you characters as they show up.
Just a quick question here from Amy. Basic question. This pronunciation list is based on audio you've already done, so Amy, this pronunciation list in terms of, if you can go back just quickly, Ryan, the suggestions in here is based off a scan of our algorithm scanning your text and giving you an output of custom words. So those words not included in the dictionary. Capitalized rare terms, which are generally proper nouns that are rare, complex words, and that's on a list of 150,000 words that we have that we've paid a couple narrators to go through and sort between a complex word or a simple word and then foreign words. In terms of based on audio you've already done, when you go in and record a new, by clicking that little microphone button, beside, for example, Juvan Voorhees, I probably butchered that pronunciation, that is by account. So if you have Juvan Voorhees come up again in your account, it will show you the same pronunciation that you've recorded previously. But if it was my account, if that same word came up, I would not get your pronunciation. So it's not crowdsourced in that way, but it does share your custom pronunciations throughout your account.
Yep. And in this case, I have not uploaded any audio as samples or actually recorded any of this audio for this project. James says in Ohio, we say Ouija. That's the same here too. That's in Michigan. So did that answer your question, Amy? I just want to make sure that.
Okay, back over.
Okay.
And anytime you want to tag, if you go back for a second, Ryan, sorry, my apologies. Just one more thing. If you do want to see a lot more words, if you go and click on that capitalized common, you'll see there, Ryan, your suggestions list will go from 268 to, in theory, a lot more. There you go, 1485. So that shows you every capitalized book, every capitalized word in the book. So as you can see, the he, she, Ryan, David, Ted. So this just shows you every capitalized term in the book, but you can toggle that off just by clicking that little checkbox there.
Yep. And that does come in handy every once in a while. I think Jeff said that he used it for something the other day. So it's just one more option to look at things. Next, the uploading and prepping. So reading the book. Pozotron won't find every pronunciation that you're uncertain of, and it won't necessarily find every character. So as you're reading through the book, you can add to those slots by saying add custom word, and in characters, it's the same thing. You can add a custom character. So you're not limited by what Pozotron comes up with initially.
One note about the parsing for the character guide as well, that's based on an algorithm that we've built, a parsing algorithm. And one thing to note, it is most likely that a non-traditional Anglophone name will be missed. For example, I used the Jungle Book as one of my demos, and Mowgli is missed in there because a lot of the way the algorithm works is based on the data set of a whole bunch of traditional names. So if you do have something missed, a lot of the time, just add it and then even shoot us an email. If it's something that, like a main character that's named, shoot us an email to hello@pozotron.com and we can continue refining that parsing algorithm as well.
And now script export is a new feature that we're still trying to kind of figure out how it integrates with everything. Currently, if you are in the pronunciation guide, everything, so these 23 words will show up on your script when you click export marked script. And something that I tried this time as well, so I included the characters over here, and when you click this custom characters button, it will add everyone from your character voice guide into your pronunciation research. And then when you click that export marked script button, you get something that looks like this. And so as you're making decisions about voices moving forward, it's a really neat way to scan through and see what kind of interactions people are having in different chapters. So I know that Blaze and Christine are boyfriend and girlfriend, even without the pronunciations associated with it. Seeing how these words fit together in context is really interesting because it gives you kind of a roadmap of the chapter, whether it's descriptions of the people or them actually talking. It's a quick way to understand what's going on chapter by chapter. And if you're using it for, medical terminology and things like that, then you can figure out which chapters are harder to work through. Any questions so far? Further?
One thing to note about the script export is our grand plan there is to build out an actual teleprompter. So you'll be merging all of that work into a teleprompter. And not only will it, just highlight the name and give you that little call out box with the phonetic pronunciation or the character voice in that HTML, live teleprompter, you'd actually be able to click on a little play button and listen to the phonetic pronunciation of that word, or listen to yourself, your character voice sample and that kind of thing, and really make it fully integrated that way.
Yeah, that's going to be super cool later. So now that you have the prep work done for your character voices and your pronunciation guide, now's the time to ask the rights holder about pronunciations and characters before you've recorded anything. And you can share the project with them if you want, where they can actually change things in the project, or there's versions where it's a read only. So different narrators have different kind of ideas about how involved they want the rights holder. So Pozotron gives you a ton of different options, whether they can come in and adjust things or just come in and see the work that you've done, or you can keep them as far away from your decisions as possible. As far as actual production goes, now you can use Pozotron after you've recorded the section, and you can record snippets in character voices to use with the character voice guide as you go along, or at the end of the chapter, you can go back and record a few notes as well. It might feel like it's breaking your flow a little bit, so that's up to you how you want to approach that, but those are super convenient to go back to later if you take the time to do it early. I think it was Emma who said that she loved taking notes the first time a character spoke. And so you can use that in conjunction with Pozotron. So let's see here, uploading to Pozotron. So I have an example here of after you've uploaded a single track to Pozotron, and it says 12 of 12 are open, and then you're going to open the proofing. Anyone who's been to any of these webinars before has watched us go through Avon's demo a million times. So the idea is the same. When you're spot checking, you click on something, hit spacebar.
Chapter 1, Piper's Run.
So the audio starts where it should.
Piper's Run. Read by Avon Shore.
She missed 2U, so that's a pickup.
She was zooming in the video.
She added an extra in, so there's a pickup.
Odd. It didn't look corroded so much as...
And as, so should be as, so that's a pickup. Now, one of the things that we brought through recently, let's assume that those were the only pickups and you worked your way through the whole chapter. You can check this show all annotations and say pickup, Pozotron created, and then pickup fixed. And over here on the left, you have everything that you want to fix in this chapter. So starting at the very end, 56 seconds in, you can go into your session, so should be as, fix it in your session, click this checkbox here, and it's fixed. And that's for your personal reference. Go to 22 seconds in, edit out that inserted in, click the button, go to 3 seconds in, add those words to you, and fixed. And so you get this frontwards and backwards roadmap in your Pozotron session of everything that came up and everything that you fixed. And back on this initial page, there are still 8 things that you haven't looked at. When you're all done with the chapter, it'll say, what is it that it says? Let me check. All checked. So a whole book will look more like this. Everything checked, how many that you've fixed, how many that are open. So that's how you would upload, walk around the block for a minute, come back, spot check, and then use that annotation filter column to show pickups. Longer chapters, we've all seen that get really cluttered over on the left. So having those annotation filters in there is a nice way to clean it up. And if you don't want to type in the timestamps over here in this proofing, I see some questions too. When they're open as pickups, you can export the chapter DAW markers in any of these, and it'll kick out a file that you can import into your session and put those markers with the pickup information right on top. Okay, what does making character notes look like in Pozotron? I can show
we can show that right now.
Character notes. So it's these guys right here. It says click to enter character description. We'll say that Dorsky is a old, uptight detective.
You can also do the same thing for character voice notes. So that's, as you can see above, backcountry, mellow and sad, slow and controlled. And then on the right there, if you click that microphone, that's where you can actually record up to 30 seconds of you speaking in that character's voice to refer to later. Or to, in some cases, send to a rights holder. I was talking to a narrator recently who was doing a multi-narrator project who only read the chapters that he was narrating before doing the book and got notes back saying, you have to... Jeff would like Ryan to record that sample, who got sent all of his chapters to the rights holder. It was an ACX project, and the rights holder, the author, came back and said, what are you doing? The main character's voice is completely wrong. On page 42, it says, I forgot how deep Joe's voice was. And because he hadn't prepped the book by reading every chapter, he had to go back and re-record every single line of dialogue for that character. So that conversation comes up more often than we think.
Yep.
A couple other questions just to go through quickly, Ryan. Mm-hmm. Number one, can we use an algorithm to walk around the block? David, the nice thing about software development is anything is possible with time, money, and skilled developers. So we'll work on that for you. Another question from David from the teleprompter will be paced via speech to text. In theory, yes, that's the goal. It's a little bit of a ways away, but the goal would be that it is a tool that paces with your pacing. You can also pause it as you stop talking with the goal of allowing you to integrate fully all of your prep work with your pronunciation work, but then also catch pickups long-term, catch pickups as they happen, essentially. And then finally, from an anonymous attendee, do you have a step-by-step tutorial I can do to get started? I have a project right now that I would like to try for the first time. We do have a bunch of tutorials that I will send out in the chat now. Best, though, is to go to our website and click that book a demo button and book a live demo with us. There's no commitment required, but basically that's our best opportunity to chat with you, understand what your workflow is, and help you build Pozotron into that workflow in the best way possible. Pozotron is a pretty easy to learn at a basic level, but there's a lot of hidden tools and tricks in there that you'll get to learn as you delve deeper into the software. And that's our best opportunity to show you some of those live on a demo. One more question. I met with Ryan, but I didn't have a manuscript. He answered many questions. It was great.
Yes.
So yeah, feel free to either book another demo. Another demo would probably be good. He can help you work through some of the workflow on your project, or we can also I'll send this in the chat right now, just our YouTube playlist, which has all of our tutorials in it.
And we have updated several of them in the last 2 weeks, so everything should be pretty up to date.
The Pozotron tutorial. Here we go. I'm sending that Pozotron Studio tutorial right now in the chat to everyone.
Awesome. So I don't think we've come up with any more advanced features since the last webinar last month. It's just kind of tightening everything down. We do plan on having the character voice guide and the pronunciation guide, the lists inside them be different colors in the script export soon, which is going to be awesome. So you can scan for those. And do we have any timeline for the algorithm that looks for high quality?
You always get mad at me when I give a timeline.
I know I do.
A couple things that we are working on right now. It is the next step of the character voice guide. Well, there'll be a bunch of other improvements. The biggest one is we're working on an algorithm that will take, for example, say in Hound of the name Sherlock, you'd be able to scan it for every mention of Sherlock. So read the 500 mentions of his name in the book quickly, back to back to back, to prep that character, or, in terms of the way it should be voiced. But then the algorithm is also going to prioritize the most descriptive sentences. So for example, Sherlock connected with a verb denoting speech connected with an adverb modifying that verb. So Sherlock spoke aggressively, or Sherlock spoke in a deep baritone would be the most highly rated examples of that. So you can quickly parse a book and get cues to how you should be performing that character. That's one of the big things we're working on right now. Once complete, we'll take the character voice guide, which is a great tool to record information, to make it an easy way to parse that information out of a book much quicker. So it'll go from a great way to record to a great way to get certainly good time saving in your prep, like the pronunciation guide currently does. A couple other exciting things in the hopper right now. We are working on some new reporting tools for multi-narrator projects, which basically would mean there's no longer some workarounds that we have right now. You'd be able to assign narrators to a project and then automatically tag by chapter pickups to that narrator, so you can have individual pickup packets for each narrator. We've also working on a new type of export into your DAW, which is a DAW region, which will mark the start and end of a pickup, which is exciting, as well as the biggest thing we're working on, which is synthetic noise detection. And so that will be the opportunity, which is a long-term project, to have, synthetic noises created by the interface between your microphone and your computer picked up as part of one of those Pozotron annotations for you to listen to and mark as a pickup easily.
Hardware glitches, basically. Anything. Yeah, that's going to be super cool. Yeah, so that's all I have. Very interesting time in audiobook industry history that we are wandering through right now with Findaway and Spotify.
Jensen, maybe you could partner with James Romick to show how to make the most of Reaper pickups.
James emails us all the time.
That's James. We'll send you an email. I've got a good idea. So,
but Gleb's region thing did work. I tested it out. So there are region markers that work on. Which were the two DAWs that have region markers? I think it was Audition and Reaper. So the region markers are working for those.
Cool. Lots of exciting stuff coming from Pozotron soon.
Yep. If anybody has any questions about anything else, should have had a picture of an algorithm walking a dog around the block. Would have been it. Alexi is here. Yes.
Yes, and Alexi, I'm reading your etymological note in your puppeteer voice right now in my head. But thank you for the note on the reason why we pronounce it Ouija instead of Ouija. Very interesting.
And James, I couldn't figure out how to do. I'm stuck on some Studio One stuff, so I'll get a hold of you. Yeah. We'll figure all that stuff as we carry on. All right. I think that's it for us. Thanks everybody for showing up. This will be recorded and posted next couple days. And check out the other tutorials. There's a ton of good stuff on there, and we hope that this makes everyone's audiobook productions during the holidays that much more efficient, so you have extra time.
I do have one quick thing to note as well with all of the myriad of conversations ongoing about AI. We've added a new FAQ page on our website. So if you go to our brand new corporate website at pozotron.com and go to features and AI algorithm and click on the get more info button. So if you go here, I'll send it out in the Zoom. That is a very, very open and honest and direct listing of everything we do with data and what we're doing with our AI. Pozotron we don't hide from the fact that we use artificial intelligence, but we don't use it to replace the people who use our software. It would be really terrible for business if we did that, because then all of our customers would be eliminated. But that website there, if you ever hear someone saying, hey, Pozotron's doing X, Y, or I'll say Z, although we say Z in Canada, direct them to that page. We're not hiding from anything. We want to be super direct and honest about what we're doing. So if you do hear questions, either refer them to us or just tell them to go to our website. We're pretty clear about what we're using things and not, what we're using data for. And yeah, we're just trying to make your audiobook productions more effective and efficient, not replace you with robots.
All right. Well, happy holidays, everyone, or at least happy Thanksgiving. We'll probably have one more webinar before Christmas. Yes, it does seem so simple. All right. I look forward to talking to all of you soon, and cheers for now.
Thank you.